I've learned over the years dealing with Margie to check in first. Anybody agree? Right? There you go. Good morning, and on behalf of the Village of Orland Park, the entire board, and myself, glad everybody's here, and I'm glad we have such a perfect day, and I'm pretty sure both Fred and Sally had something to do with that. So it's a great afternoon for doing the right thing with rededicating this building. So I think most of you have the outline for today. So we'll get into this very quickly. And again, thank you for being here. I think this is an important day. We'll touch briefly on the resolution we adopted to rededicate this village hall to, I still have trouble calling him Frederick. It's Fred. And so if you hear me go back and forth between the formal language of Frederick T. Owens and Fred, just know that I definitely appreciate what Fred did for the village. So let's begin, and we'll start with a prayer offering. Maura?
We gather today in gratitude as we rededicate the Frederick T. Owens Village Hall, a place devoted to service and community. We honor the memory of Mayor Owens, whose leadership helped shape Orland Park. Bless this building and all who work here. May this building continue to be a place where wisdom guides decisions, kindness inspires actions, and a shared commitment to community brings people together.
Thank you, Maura. And now we'll have a musical accompaniment by the Orland Park Children's Choir. You ready? My experience is they're wonderful.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. All join them, please. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Thank you again to the Orland Park Children's Choir. Like I said, they usually do a great job, so we appreciate you being out here. And thanks again to everyone that's here. You know, the huge, is that a good word? Owens family, the Owens clan. And so it's very much heartwarming to see you. And an old friend, Sandy O'Connor, who was Fred's secretary for many years. It's wonderful to see you too as well, Sandy. So again, thank you for being here. And I'm just debt of gratitude, very pleased that everyone here brought this issue back to the attention of the people of Orland Park about keeping this village hall named for Fred. And just simple comments. Fred was an easy person to like and respect as a man, and certainly now as mayor, I had a chance to work with Fred as village clerk, and I enjoyed working with Fred while he was the mayor, and I know he had a lasting impact on this village and the quality of life for everyone. So just a couple of quick notes about the things that Fred did. And Orland Park today, in many ways, is a reflection of how Fred served. And that's the testament to the man. So, many of you know the history. He moved in the early 70s. Can anybody picture Orland Park pre-mall? LaGrange Road, maybe unpaved horse path. I'm kidding. But, it was a long time ago. He moved in with his family and raised his family here. And he quickly jumped into it. He quickly became part of the Silver Lake West Improvement Association and the United Homeowners Council of Orland Park. And then in 72, apparently Fred in his younger days was not a man to wait. So by 74, he was elected to School Board 135. And I think for all the years that I knew Fred, I don't know if I knew that he was first on the school board before the village. I just knew him as Mayor Fred. I moved out here in 86, quickly got the bug like Fred, and quickly jumped into it, getting involved and ultimately elected later. But I did not know that Fred also served with 135 and then the Orland Youth Association, OYA. And his leadership contribution started when he became, for the village, in 79, first elected as trustee and then reelected in 83, and then bringing Lake Michigan water and a form of government that we have along with these regional consortiums. Now, you could argue none of these things are going to make it in the New York Times anytime soon, but they're important for a community because Orland Park today is what it is. And I've said that many, many times, that we're a town of 60,000 people. And many folks outside of Orland know us for our shopping center and our businesses in town. But those of us who live here, we all know that Orland is a town of neighborhoods. We have 66 neighborhood parks. And a lot of those decisions of making the development community put in a neighborhood park gives Orland Park the quality of life that we have today. Fred was first elected in 1985 and then reelected in 1989. And I'll tell you, as mayor and former trustee in Orland Park, a lot of things are right about Orland. So I'm just going to cherry pick a few. This could be a very long public accomplishment resume, but I'll cherry pick a few. This very complex has a lot to do with Fred. Getting it built, getting it funded, the vision. So the Village Hall, the Levy Center, the Civic Center, that cluster that makes this a unique place in the south suburbs for a governmental center, we can attribute to Fred. Centennial Park Complex, this couple hundred acres. I think that when I was first becoming aware of things in Orland Park, Fred and the boards then were on point to kind of go get the public to accept that big of an investment, and the pool. And I was chatting with Margie and with Maura towards the end. You guys would drive Fred out there.
Uncle John, his brother John was taken out there to
And
watch
to
it.
see the development of the park. So those are really important things that we have in Orland because of Fred and because of his leadership as mayor. You obviously work it through with the full board. Village manager form of government was controversial a couple of years ago, but we all know that it's pretty important to have professionalized the management of day-to-day operations in the village. And then something a little gentler, I'm still working on that happy hour ban, right? Because I have a very different approach. But the way Orland looks and feels, things like a sign ordinance to control the signage in our town makes it an attractive place to live and do business. Things like requiring homes to be built with the first floor as brick gave Orland Park a unique look and feel. And that's important as we go forward. So again, those are just it's a very short list of everything that Fred accomplished in his years of service to Orland. But I also thought I would tell you my personal Fred story. So Fred was mayor. I was clerk, so I would sit right next to him. And many of you know Fred had a wicked sense of humor, right? Yeah. But then he could keep a straight face after he makes you cry. I was literally shaking. I was laughing so hard, trying to not have an outburst at a public meeting because the recording was on. And he tells me this joke. If I could have burst out laughing out loud, I would have. But Fred just had that stoic Fred look to him. And it's like, I'm the one shaking. I'm laughing so hard. So I always remember that because he had such a great sense of humor, even if he made you look like the idiot while you're trying not to laugh out loud in public. But he's also a decent person that you could approach. I never had an issue with knocking on Fred's door to say, hey, what about this? What about that? Or some of the early initiatives that I brought up as clerk. Fred and his board and his leadership were very receptive to that. And so small ways, every day we try and emulate that, which is just being open in pursuit of the greater good. So in my mind, that's a legacy for me with Fred. Excuse me. So we know he's funny. I know he loved Orland Park. Pretty selfless dedication over 20 years. That's a long patch of time. And then on the 20th, seasonal allergies. Give me a second here. The board unanimously voted to rededicate this building, the Village Hall. Now, you should never have to rededicate a building to somebody who was worthy of the honor in the first place, but here we are. So unanimous resolution again, seasonal allergies, to rededicate this building. Fred was his friend. He was a colleague, and I'd put him down as one of the better mayors in Orland Park. Your turn, Margie.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Am I okay? All right,
Where do you want it? Can you read this?
Yes. Tough act to follow. Whoa. And I'll have you know that that sound of that beautiful baby crying is Fred's newest great-grandson, James Dean Casper, J.D. Casper. So thank you for being here, J.D. Look at you. Hi, baby. I'm going to keep my composure. All right, thank you, Mayor Dodge, Clerk Norwell. I saw Mary, there she is. And the Board of Trustees. My sisters, Mary Beth, Maura, and I, our families, our extended family, you see many Owenses and Fentons and across the back row, we are grateful for today's event. I'm not going to look at you. You're going to make me cry. Thank you to all of you for being here. As Jim mentioned, my name is Margie Owens Klotz. I began working for the village during Orland Park's first mayor's term, John Humphrey, in 1892. I was 5. I spent about 40 years with the village. I was a summer kid 2 years before my dad was elected trustee in 1979. So I gotta quit making these noises on the microphone, sorry. I would tell him I got him his job. I got him in. All right, I worked here as an undergrad, excuse me, a grad student. The village's first intern. I'm swatting a bee. Fran, I'm doing interpretive dance. You know, it's appropriate that the Bears game is happening right now. You may remember this, yeah. On Monday nights when the Bears played during village board meetings, do you remember the game being on in the village board conference room so Fred could check the score?
Short meetings.
And Jim just said those were short meetings. It was a Bears night. I retired in 2019 from here, and many of you know I've enjoyed a second career in academia teaching public speaking at Moraine and St. Xavier. I'm looking for Augustiniacs. There you are. And one of the things I stress in my classes is the importance of storytelling. People love stories. Marty Donovan. It's like serving your audience comfort food. And we've enjoyed listening to stories since we were babies. That's the importance of stories in public speaking. So I want to thank you for continuing to share Fred Owens' story. All right, Jim talked about the Orland Park Village Center complex. It was designed by Ralph Johnson, the architect with Perkins and Will. He presented his plans at the Beacon Avenue Village Hall in the late 1980s. I was there. I think I was 9. The Village Center debuted in November 1989. The Village Hall, the Civic Center, the Recreation Center across the way. We had people from across the country and around the world visit when this debuted because of the architectural significance. These buildings were later named for Fred Owens, Bill Vogel, another favorite, and one of my favorite village storytellers, Franklin Labey. All right, Franklin's daughters are here today. Pat Labey and Nancy Hessler, thank you for being here. Franklin was village treasurer for 65 years. The Recreation Center was named in his honor. He was alive when they named the building for him. My father could not wait. After you guys, we were clerk. He could not wait to run to tell Franklin that they voted to name the building after him. And Franklin's office in the Village Hall looked out at the building named for him. And with Franklin, with being the storyteller, I would show Franklin a picture and he would give me, oh, Marge, that's blah, 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 blah. And he would give me the full history. All right, Fred's Village Hall stories. He'd get here after school. He was a Chicago high school social studies teacher with a passion for government. He said that people knew he did not take bribes. Pippins, you ready for this? Because he drove a 1976 Buick LeSabre with the rear bumper held on with a bungee cord. At one time, there was a screwdriver. Johnny, where are you? At one time, there was a screwdriver in the steering column that he used to try to work the directional. 7-Eleven at 151st and West Avenue. Public Works remembered when my dad thought he put the LeSabre in park. And he went inside and the car started rolling backwards and they had to scream to get him to run outside and get his car. When he would get to the Village Hall, he'd make his way around the building with his cup of coffee, chatting with employees. And he would put it down to challenge employees to jump to touch the exit sign outside of the Village Hall boardroom. He didn't challenge you. Obviously, you couldn't do it. They would go home and get their gym shoes. And you could not get a running start. You had to jump the one right where that Hall of Mayors, the Wall of Mayors. Yeah. That's it. That's the Fred exit sign. And Fred's mission, his village story. Jim touched on a lot of it. Guide Orland Park's future. Replaced well water with Lake Michigan water. Replaced cronyism with professional village government. provide regional support for the Argonne Regional Lab, maintain the village's high development standards, working with people like Durs Anderson, the Renaissance man, Durs Anderson. Jim mentioned the happy hour park in every Orland Park neighborhood, and he always wanted to be able to give an objective opinion, so he would not take any political contributions from builders or anyone who held a liquor license in Orland Park. He established Orland Park's leadership role in the southwest suburbs and the Chicago area, and on and on. He was so proud of Orland Park. All right, I'm not going. Okay, we're going to go this way.
Seasonal allergies.
Seasonal allergies. I was just diagnosed. He died in May of 1992. Everybody here knows this. He died at the age of 54. Orland Park Centennial Mayor. Jim and Bill Vogel were co-chairs of the Centennial Commission. He had been diagnosed with cancer just 4 months before. So we called him the Centennial Mayor because he died during Orland Park Centennial celebration. When my dad died, the first person to come to our house was this man right here. Jim Dodge was the first person to show up at our house, offering his support, his help. He helped coordinate the services. And that's something I'm going to make you cry. That's something we will always, always, always remember. This building was draped in purple bunting. Orland Fire had their cross towers at the entrance. On the day of his funeral mass, the line at his wake went on for hours. St. Michael Church was at capacity for the mass. Owens, you ready? Our grandmother, Florence Owens, always said if a wake was crowded, the deceased carried their precinct. Fred carried his precinct. In February of '93, the village board voted to name the building to remember my dad's village story. They named it in his memory. I was honored to work here in the building named for my dad until I retired in 2019. And people would see his picture in the lobby. And Johanna Quinn, the receptionist, would call me to the lobby. And grown men, well, probably because I looked like my dad, I guess, maybe, they would cry and tell me what an impact he had on them as a teacher at Hubbard High School in Chicago. Wherever an Owens goes, they run into former students or village residents Fred has helped. His grandchildren, nieces, nephews, cousins, and extended family, they love hearing their Fred stories. And my niece, Kate, gave this group a new name. She doesn't know that I know this. We are now called Fred Heads. How perfect was that? What did you say? I know. All right, the final chapter of Fred's story is at St. Michael's Cemetery at 159th and Wilcook Road in Homer. That's where our parents are buried. Can we get that annexed?
We'll try.
Okay. My dad's grave includes a 1984 newspaper quote. If I'm ever to leave a mark, I want to be remembered for the role I played in shaping one of the most dynamic communities in this state, Orland Park. To Mayor Dodge and the board, thank you for ensuring that Fred Owens is remembered for his part in Orland Park history. And to all of you here today, thank you for continuing to share Fred Owens's Orland Park story.
Yes, Margie gets an A if she was grading herself. And I appreciate the fact that we're here as a way to memorialize a great leader in Orland Park. And, you know, that Margie style was right there, even though this must have been tough to do. So we appreciated that. So now we're going to have, reveal the sign. And then after we do that, hang on, guys. Do we want to do a countdown? You guys want to do a countdown or just a signal? No.
Explain who they are.
All right. Sure. I guess we have to introduce you to come out behind the sign. Everybody knows who you are. All right. Kevin. It's Chris, right? I didn't recognize him with the glasses on. You guys ready? All right. And then afterwards, we're going to head inside. We'll have a short reception. And I just want to give a shout out to the Girl Scout Troop 65477, who's here to help pass out the programs, but also help later on with the cake. So thank you for being here as well. You guys want to do a self count? All right. You guys want to do a count?
5.
All right. Start at 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. An important moment to restore a simple honor to a good man. Thank you. We'll see you inside.